Hello BookTube. Today I'm going to be doing the Nonfiction Book Tag. This tag was created by Mike of Bibliophile Reads, and it was tagged by Pete of Bookless Pete. Thank you, Pete, for the tag. I will have links to both Mike and Pete's channels in the show notes down below, as well as a list of books mentioned, because I will try to mention a number of books over the course of this tag. Hopefully I will mention books that I haven't really mentioned all that often, though. But we shall see. And if I remember, I will add people that I'm going to be tagging, as well as other booktubers that I mention over the course of this video who, if they feel up to doing this tag, are tagged. But then sometimes I don't always do the tagging, I just tag everybody. So let's get on with the prompts. Prompt number 1. What originally made you interested in reading nonfiction? I came to nonfiction originally as a means of research and inspiration. As a student, it is not uncommon to write research papers, and you need to read nonfiction to do those research papers. So that's largely how I came to nonfiction. And then later I started to read nonfiction for inspiration. I had been for a long time a fan of fantasy and aspired to write my own fantasies. And reading history in particular was really helpful in getting the creative juices flowing. In 2020, I finally came around to reading history and other nonfiction for its own sake. Prompt number 2. Do you read nonfiction mainly for curiosity, learning, or enjoyment? All of the above. Prompt number 3. What topic could you read endless nonfiction about? I don't think there is a topic that I can read an endless amount on, because I will inevitably grow bored of that subject and want to move on to something else. My reading life is not terribly static. My interests change and rove all over the place. So it's just, I really need to just embrace it, not have an existential crisis every time it happens. Prompt number 4. How do you usually discover nonfiction books? So initially, I learned about new and forthcoming and even some older nonfiction from Steve Donohue. Steve Donohue is fantastic when it comes to nonfiction, and his mail hauls and bridal hauls and other book hauls are always replete with nonfiction that somebody's going to be interested in, if not necessarily me all the time. More recently, Peg of the History Shelf has also begun to haul newer and forthcoming works of history. I have also begun to pay more attention to university presses. Very often they will have in their catalogs new and forthcoming works that they are putting out. And among the university presses that I pay the most attention to, although it's typically more poetry than anything else, are the University of Chicago Press, Princeton University Press, Yale University Press, and Louisiana State University Press. And all 4 of them usually have some good sales throughout the year, if you're at all interested. I haven't really made the habit of looking at more commercial publishers. I do sometimes look at what Basic Books has coming out, but I haven't really looked at other publishers like them. Prompt number 5. Do you follow authors or topics when choosing nonfiction? So the thing with authors is some authors can produce a large number of books, and then some might only be able to produce or publish a few books over the course of their careers. And there's not, I don't always get on all that well with an author's entire body of work. So normally I will pay more attention to the topic than I will the individual author. Prompt number 6. What nonfiction book stuck with you long after reading? For this prompt, I'm going to go with Physics of the Impossible by Michio Kaku. It is a work of speculative science that looks at the various sort of sciences, scientific advancements, technologies that are dreamt of by science fiction writers, and how plausible they are. At the time I first read Physics of the Impossible, in addition to wanting to write fantasy, I also wanted to write science fiction. And this book gave me a grounding on how to approach things. And I have thought of this book in the years since. I do have a copy of it, even though I have not read it in probably about 20 years, give or take. Okay, so prompt number 7. What topic have you learned the most about through books? Pretty much all nonfiction, but I will go with the ancient Near East. It is one of my favorite periods of history. So we'll go with that. Prompt number 8. What nonfiction book made you curious about something unexpected? For this, I'm going to go with Black Wave by Kamp. It is a history of the conflict between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And more specifically, it's really about how the Middle East in the 20th century transitioned from being mostly Marxist dominated to being more religiously fundamentalist in the later 90s and into the 2020s and enduring to today. And that book really got me interested in reading more about the modern Middle East rather than the region thousands of years ago, which is usually what I'm more interested in when it comes to that region. Prompt number 9. What topic would you recommend everyone explore at least once? For this prompt, I'm going to go, generally speaking, this is kind of where you can do some wiggling because, well, not everybody's going to be interested in everything, and you kind of want to really cater your recommendation to or topic to what the person you're talking to, you're aiming it at, is. Because not everybody's going to like the same books or even be interested in the same topics. But since I do want to recommend some books and do want to sort of actually recommend something and not try to wriggle my way out of it, I will recommend reading histories of your home country or even your home region. So for this prompt, I'm going to recommend 2 books. One, These Truths by Joe Lepore. It's a history of the United States and is probably the best single volume history of the United States that I have read. Not that I have read all that many. The history of the United States is not one that I myself am actually all that interested in. And also A Big Wonderful Thing, a history of the United States of Texas, where I live. And that book is by Stephen Harrigan, which I have recommended numerous occasions, but I will go ahead and again recommend Big Wonderful Thing because it is history as it should be written. Okay. Prompt number 10. What nonfiction book would you recommend to curious readers? For this prompt again, it's like, really, what are you interested in? What are you curious about? Here, I think I'm going to go with, for curious readers. I think maybe I will recommend Red Hourglass by Gordon Grice. It is a work of natural history that focuses on a number of predatory animals. Half to the majority being arachnids or insects, but some not. It is really good. And then the 11th prompt, what nonfiction book would you give someone who says they don't like nonfiction? Again, really you would want to know what that person is interested in, what they like to read, what they like to watch or play, or like what are they interested in, and then find a nonfiction book that will match that or will kind of like be the hook to get them into nonfiction in general. For this, I think I'm going to go with Sunny Days by David Kamp. It is a history of children's television in the 1970s, more specifically educational television. So I think I will go with that to wrap up this tag video. So anyway, BookTube, if you would like to do this tag, please consider yourselves tagged. And I will see you tomorrow with weekly reads and the beginning of this side of the history part of my 2026 library tour. Until then, thank you, BookTube. Have a great rest of your afternoon.